Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Pooja Walia Maan from SGI Samalkha. Today we are going to talk on the module Managing Service Differentiation from the paper Services Marketing. Students, let us see first what we are going to learn in this module. In this module, you will learn about meaning of employee empowerment, approaches to employee empowerment, advantages of employee empowerment and disadvantages of employee empowerment. To begin with, consider yourself to be a manager at a luxury hotel. Now, you have a customer in the late night hours who has booked a room online. The payment was also made using a credit card and the room confirmation was sent online. However, due to some technical fault or a glitch, the booked room was shown as vacant on your hotel software and the room was lent out to a new walk-in customer just a few hours ago, and that too for a duration of 2 days. Now, as a manager, on confronting the customer, you are able to understand the whole situation. However, at this hour of night, you are not able to seek your seniors' advice on how to deal with this situation. What should be your reaction in managing this situation? For an experienced manager, such a service situation would have been already prepared for and you would have already been instructed by the staff to be trained to manage such glitches. But for the service organizations who plan every part of service delivery extremely carefully, it may be difficult to foresee any overbooking like this. Often, the service personnel confronting the customer is expected to use his wisdom in taking a final decision. Most of the times, to avoid any customer grievance caused due to inconvenience, the service personnel would offer him a premium room as compared to the one which was booked by the customer at the same price to please the customer. If the service personnel is trained to react in this way, it is a foresighted service management. If it was a decision taken by the confronting service personnel, it will be known as employee empowerment. So let's talk about introduction to employee empowerment. Employees of a service organization are the only face between the marketer and the customer till the time the service delivery is completed. It is the employees who facilitate the interface between the organization and the market. Service organizations spend huge amounts in creating a brand by consistently striving to create and sustain a strategic advantage in the highly competitive market. But eventually, it is the delivery of satisfaction from the employee to the customer that builds or kills the service brands. In addition, the customers are also increasingly taking a center stage in the creation and delivery of services to define the performance standards. Thus, it is significant to understand the role played by the employees and the customers in the service delivery. Here we present the Conger and Kanugo stages of employee empowerment. The first such stage is to identify the factors inhibiting the self-efficacy of the service employees. The second is to counter them with programs to generate self-efficacy. The third stage in empowering the employees is to generate programs that feed positive results back to employees. The fourth stage of the model talks about heightening the feelings of self-efficacy amongst the service employees. And the final stage is to heighten motivation amongst the service employees to make them empowered. In most of the service marketing encounters, the delivery personnel would be the only interface between the customer and the organization, and hence these employees make a significant contribution in the development of the organizational competitive advantage. It rests upon the service delivery employees to ensure that the interaction between them and the customer is consistent with the desired positioning of the service encounter as conceived by the top management to make the building of the competitive edge exercise successful. Front-end executives are considered as the most important asset for any service organization and hence the most capable in achieving and sustaining the competitive advantage. Therefore, it is all the more a reason to ensure that they are given certain authority in taking decisions related to service delivery to enable smooth service sale. Here, employee empowerment is a systematic process of giving a certain degree of freedom or autonomy to the service personnel for taking certain decisions regarding specific urgent service delivery situations. This is a formal process of letting the employees down the line take decisions in certain situations while confronting the complaining customers. This method of sharing some power with the employees for taking some decisions which need a quick solution to the customer's complaints is known as employee empowerment. This way of decentralizing the decision-making power at the lower levels of the service organization facilitates a quick judgment of the customer's problem and are in a better position to gauge the damage a delayed decision may cause for the goodwill of the service organization. Now we come to a stage where we have to discuss about the importance or need for employee empowerment. As empowered human resource would also be instrumental in influencing the service quality, it is important to empower the service employees. In service industry, it is extremely important to understand the needs and wants of the customers to be able to service them with the suitable offering. There are 5 dimensions of service quality according to Wilson. that is reliability, responsiveness, empathy, assurance, and tangibles. An empowered HR has to understand these dimensions and deliver the same during the service encounter by carefully understanding the needs and wants of the consumers. The quality of service delivery by the human resource will have a direct impact on the overall service delivery and quality perception of the organization. If the service staff is not trained or is not in sufficient numbers to handle the customers, it is likely that the service delivery would be not up to the desired level of consumer satisfaction. Let us take an example of a restaurant. A consumer would generally come to the restaurant to be served courteously the desired meals. If the service staff is not trained to be customer-centric in his approach or is not trained to be sensitive to the needs and expectations of the customers, he may end up dissatisfying the customers despite the fact that the food quality may be good. The overall service level of the customer lowers if the service staff is not encouraged to be customer conscious or service minded. Here we can see the various levels of employee empowerment, starting from control oriented with direct production line services being offered to involvement oriented where service personnel are highly involved in the service delivery. It is pertinent for the service delivery employees to be viewed as playing an important role in creating customer values through their interactions. Therefore, it is important for the organization to empower these employees while presenting a service, reinforcing a brand image, and ensuring customer satisfaction by coming up to the expectations of the customers at each encounter. The interaction of the front-line employees with the customers will have the lasting impression regarding the reputation of the organization and the perception of the quality of services provided. If the frontline executive of an insurance organization presents the different types of policies to the target customer, but is not empowered to offer few customized solutions, however insignificant they may be, it is very likely that the customer will not buy policy from this organization despite the fact the company has a very appropriate plan meeting the target customer's need. Hence, if the frontline employees are empowered to address the needs and expectations of the customers, the customer carries a positive impression about the organization, resulting in developing its positive image and reputation. Are there any theoretical approaches to employee empowerment? Well, yes. Employee empowerment is a process of making the service personnel the power to take decisions relating to customers' buying situations demanding urgent reaction. So there are, broadly speaking, three theoretical approaches to this topic of employee empowerment. To begin with, the perspective of socio-structural needs to be discussed. This is the first approach to understanding the employee empowerment, that is, the socio-structural approach, which focuses on designing or redesigning the organizational structure, policies, and practices with the aim of providing power and authority to the employees. This influences the way of working of these service employees. The second is the psychological perspective. This approach talks about the model that lays emphasis on improving the effectiveness of personal interaction with the service customers by developing their level of self-confidence, skill, and competency, along with the understanding of the consumer buying behavior of the services. The third and the last approach to employee empowerment is a challenge to the idea that employees should be deliberately given some power. This is known as the critical perspective. So rather, the perspective contends that the employees should be allowed a free hand in customizing their service interactions, and obviously there should be very less controls. Having discussed the theoretical perspectives of employee empowerment, let us talk about the benefits of employee empowerment. There are a few advantages which are provided through the concept of adopting employee empowerment in the service organization. The first is enhanced organizational responsiveness. One of the most obvious advantages of employee empowerment is the fact that the degree of responsiveness towards the needs and wants of the consumers is improved if every employee considers it as his responsibility to take care of the consumers. Such proactiveness on the part of the employees creates an organizational responsiveness which can facilitate the consumers without any delay in the delivery of expected solution to their needs. The second advantage refers to managing of service recovery. The reaction of a consumer to a service failure is largely dependent upon the time since the consumer is dealing with the organization. This is where the degree of empowerment given to the employee would be instrumental in managing the service recovery. Often, the service expectations of a new consumer is high as compared to the one who has been dealing with the organization since some time. A new consumer may be looking towards a good deal even in the service recovery, else will be quick to switch the service provider. Since the older consumers had already experienced the service quality, they may be easy to be pleased with the service recovery efforts due to personal interaction. Consumers who wish to continue dealing with the organization in future would also have lower level of service performance expectations. Service recovery in case of older consumers or in case of consumers wishing to be associated with the organization in future will be easy to satisfy during the service recovery. This is not to suggest that the service personnel should not take the service recovery efforts of an older consumers on a priority. This only suggests that they would be easy to be convinced about the uncontrollable nature of a service failure. The third benefit relates to the introduction of change. A service organization will have to consistently upgrade its service creation and service delivery system to offer quality services to its consumers. For doing so, a number of changes may be desired from time to time, including the upgradation of technology, increased dependence on information technology, and improvements in the service delivery processes necessitating refreshers training for the service staff. All these tasks are feasible to be smoothly implemented in the event of the presence of the concept of employee empowerment. Creation of an open and trustworthy atmosphere is also possible in the organizational culture promoting employee empowerment. The employees should feel confident to share their views with their immediate seniors as well as with the top authorities for the purpose of improving the service quality or reduction in the customer waiting time, leading to development of congenial environment with employee empowerment. The next advantage relates to improved productivity. A responsive organization and an ever-willing service personnel to facilitate the customer at every step of service purchase and service delivery will eventually lead to the improved service productivity in that organization. The next benefit relates to heightened employee commitment. In any organization, if the employees are empowered, they feel motivated in performing their duties, which in turn is very crucial in increasing the commitment and loyalty of the employee towards the service organization. This ensures their contribution towards the attainment of the organizational goals. Employee commitment is facilitated with having empowered employees in the organization. The level of belongingness and motivation is directly proportional to the degree of empowerment offered to the service staff. When the employees feel that they are authorized to facilitate and expedite the customer's service delivery, they become more creative and enthusiastic to satisfy the consumers, which is the prime aim of the organization as well. Last but not the least, building corporate brand image is yet another advantage of employee empowerment. Employee empowerment commences with treating the service staff with respect. Efforts are made to convince them of the organizational practices and strategies so that in turn they are able to convey the same to the target consumers with conviction. In this process, employee empowerment facilitates the corporate brand building. Now, students, having discussed about the advantages of employee empowerment, let us take a quick look at some of the limitations this concept may have. The first is non-uniformity in decisions. There may be occasions where different employees may have taken a different perception of the similar situation and hence taken a different decision. Such non-uniformity of decisions may develop to be a cause of grievance amongst different consumers. And this could be another reason to result in decreased organizational efficiency and performance. The second could be the difficulty in coordination. If every service personnel at the lower hierarchical level is given the authority to take his own decisions in his wisdom, there may be conflicting decisions or different decisions in similar consumer situations. This could be a major cause of concern for the coordination function of the organization. Another limitation could be the managers and employees' conflict. In the absence of a clear-cut boundary of decision making and the liberty of employee using his wisdom in taking a decision, there may be a conflict between the senior managers and the lower line service personnel. Service delivery is the interaction of the service systems, service employees, and the service buyer in any service buying situation. The role of all three variables is important in improving the quality of service delivered to satisfy the needs of the customers. The employees play a very important role in the delivery of the services as they are the face of the service organization. The employees' understanding of the customer's needs and wants and the offering of the appropriate solution to the customer by making him appreciate its importance to satisfy his needs is significant to decide the level of satisfaction of the customers. Service marketing is increasingly being co-created and co-produced with the consumers. This makes the customer-employee interaction indispensable. Herein lies the importance of employee empowerment, where personnel try to emphasize on its quality dimensions through customer orientation. The customer's interaction is the highest with the front line service employees. Hence, the front desk staff should be empowered to deal with the consumers, not only reflecting the organizational perspective, but also the customer's perspective. Hence, in the process of empowerment, employees are not only trained to represent the organization, but are also attempted to be convinced about the service they are selling. It seeks to develop an organizational system where each individual trusts the services they are marketing and feel equally responsible for achieving the organizational targets in the right spirit. So students, let's see what we have learned in this module. There may also be a dissatisfaction amongst the consumers if they do not receive what was promised to them at the time of negotiations. Occurrence of a service failure is not uncommon even in old and big service organizations. These may be due to human or technical reasons which may be controllable or sometimes uncontrollable. An intelligent service provider always develops a mechanism to foresee such a service failure and designs a service recovery mechanism to satisfy the consumer quickly and efficiently so as to retain him. And this is done generally through employee empowerment. In the absence of the same, an empowered service personnel will be the only saving grace to handle the situation and earn the loyalty of the customers. An empowered employee who is connected with the service brand is likely to be more motivated and in turn more productive in getting close to achieving the organizational objectives. Thank you.